Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we will be talking about what curriculum that we use in our homeschool. So I homeschool 3 of our 4 children. Our oldest is 16 and she goes to the local public high school. Our next oldest child is 11. Then we have a 10-year-old and our youngest is 7 this year. So you may notice that my last video that I posted had a 5-year-old named Maddie. Well, that was some pretty old footage, and that was from, I think, just before the beginning of last school year when she was still 5. So she has just turned 7, and I'll be posting soon an update to exactly where she's reading. So for today, I'd like to discuss what curriculum that we've chosen for our homeschool. Now, there are some subjects that we do together as a family, and then there's some subjects that we do individually with each student. So our first curriculum that we are going to look at today is our history curriculum. Now, we do both history and science together as a family. Our history curriculum that we've chosen is Mystery of History. I like this curriculum because it goes in timeline order. It goes from ancient history all the way up through the current history. So this is our second year homeschooling, so we have finally made it to volume 2. We are just starting out in volume 2. So it took us about a year and a half to get through that first volume, and now we are on lesson 5 of volume 2. This curriculum has been fantastic because it has a lot of really good information in it about ancient history and now up to where we are today. And it also has a lot of resources in the back that we can find books from our local library to supplement. And also I've done a lot of searching on YouTube for videos that will fit right with our curriculum. There's something about a YouTube video that my kids totally will enjoy more than just reading something. It brings it to life for them. So we do a lot of documentary type videos on YouTube as well. And for science, we are doing Apologia Science. My children begged me last year to do astronomy this year, so we picked up the astronomy curriculum from Apologia. I love this curriculum. It's fantastic. And it has about 14 lessons or so in it. They call it lessons, but really it's kind of like units. So in this astronomy, it pretty much breaks down to a planet per unit. And it takes several days, sometimes a couple of weeks, to get through each lesson. So this isn't something where there's only 14 lessons and you're done for the year. This has been a great curriculum with lots of hands-on activities that my kids get to do. Along with the textbook, there are also 2 kinds of... My entire thing just collapsed. Along with the teacher textbook, there are 2 types of what they call notebooking journals. These have a lot of notebooking activities in them. There is the notebooking journal for your older students, and then there is the junior journal. Here we are, the junior journal for your younger kids. So my older 2, my 11 and my 10-year-olds do use this regular journal, but Maddie at 7 uses the junior journal. And I'll show you exactly the difference in just a moment. So each one has different lessons in it. I'll show you the junior to start with. So each one has different lessons involved. So you'll see it has some copy work in it. And they have these little activities in them where it's a little like, this one is lift the flap, where they write the information in. My 7-year-old's handwriting. And they have lots of fun with cutting these out and writing the information in them. Even my older children really enjoy these activities. Now, the difference between the junior notebook and the regular notebook is in the end of the chapter. Usually each chapter has a crossword puzzle that they can do, and you'll notice for the junior notebook, some of the letters are already filled in to help them pick the right word. And then a couple of pages later, they have coloring activities. So that's the junior version. Let's look at the regular lesson. Now he's funny, he likes to do his a little off kilter, and that's sort of fun. Whatever, right? Whatever gets the job done. So he does the same thing. He puts his little thing that he writes on it. And then in his, as you go through, you'll notice he also has the crossword puzzle, but he does not have any letters to help guide him. He has to determine that all on his own. And then at the end, where she had coloring pages, he has a what do you remember? So he answers questions based upon the text. So he and my older, I will just assign this as an activity for them to do. They will get out the textbook and they'll look up the answers. So mom doesn't have to do science one day. So that is our astronomy and our history. The way that I work our schedule is over a 2-week period. I will do history 3 days a week and science 2 days a week, 1 week. And then the next week, I'll do science 3 days a week and history 2 days a week. So over each 2-week period, they're getting each subject 5 days for the week. So that's how we work our science and our history. In the morning, we do a morning meeting. So first thing in the morning, we get together. Everybody's had breakfast. Everybody gets dressed for the day, sometimes. And we begin our morning. Usually this is around 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning, because by the time I finish teaching with VIP Kid, I finish all of my feedback, we do our morning chores. It's usually around 9:30 by the time we get ready for our homeschool day. The next thing that we talk about, or we do, is our morning binder. So I have some things in here that we review every morning to help us remember. Now, my children have had a lot of difficulty with remembering their multiplication facts. Now remember, I pulled our children out of school when my oldest was going into 4th grade and my middle was going into 3rd grade. 3rd grade? Yeah, 3rd grade. And my youngest was going into kindergarten. So my oldest had a horrible time remembering his multiplication facts. So I came up with a method to help them learn these multiplication facts. And we sing songs. So they will sing this skip counting to a tune. Like this one is to Mary Had a Little Lamb. And they will sing these every day. We do them twice every single day. Every week I add a new one. So we are at our 4s. I have to redo this one. 6s, we just chant 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I don't really do that one to a song. We are up to our 7s. So we have learned every song up to 7 to help them remember their multiplication facts. I'll do another video on this to help you see what songs I use and how I go about doing that in our classroom. The next thing that we've recently begun to do this, is our map work. I want the kids to learn where things are in our world. I think that a lot of times children in public schools in America really don't learn a lot about geography and where things are located. And my goal in our homeschool is to have more of a global approach to schooling. So I want them to learn as much about the world as they can, because with more and more technology, the smaller our world becomes and the more they need to know about things outside of the United States. So right now we're working on continents. What are our 7 continents? My older kids know them. This is a review for them. My youngest is learning them. So we're starting there. We're learning our continents. We'll add in the oceans, and then we'll move toward countries and then states or provinces within those different countries. So that's where we are with our morning work. Now, they do have other things that they memorize, but it's more on an individualized basis than it is for our whole homeschool. So we do those individually. So let's look at what we do after our meeting. After our meeting, at our meeting, we discuss what each child is responsible for that day, and I give them a plan as far as what needs to be done on their end. So what do I do for each child individually? Let's start with our 5th grader. who is our 11-year-old. He will do some work independently and some work one-on-one with me. He is just finishing up All About Reading Level 4. This program has been phenomenal with him. He does have issues with reading, and he has really come so far with this curriculum. I am so impressed with All About Reading. So he completes that. We usually do All About Reading for about 20 minutes, half an hour a day. And then he does All About Spelling as well. He's in level 4 of All About Spelling. After we do All About Reading, All About Spelling, we also do first language lessons. So this is his grammar curriculum. He and my 10-year-old both do the exact same curriculum together. So we get back together to do this curriculum. So this is a very easy curriculum. It's very teacher guided, and the teacher manual has a script that the teacher says, and the children follow along in their individual workbooks. So each one of my kiddos, my bigger kiddos, has an individual workbook that they use, and we do about 3 lessons a week. So this is not every day that we do this curriculum. We use Zaner Blosser for our handwriting curriculum. I love them. It's fantastic. It's very self-explanatory, and all my kids can do it independently. The next thing that we've added this year is Wordly Wise. The kids do 1 unit or 1 lesson of this per week, and it usually has 5 or 6 activities. One day a week they do 2 of the activities instead of just 1. This Wordly Wise curriculum has been really great. There's a bunch of words that they learn and their definitions, and then they just do different activities to use them in sentences or to, really study to learn what each of the words mean. So that is what my 5th grader is currently working on. Now, my 4th grader. My 4th grader is reading on about a 9th grade level. So she does not do a reading curriculum like my other 2 do, where they work independently with me to learn phonics. She's got that. So her reading curriculum that she does is to pick up a book and read. So these were the books that she's read this last week. She read both of these books last week. So she finished the Warrior series. She got both of these for Christmas. Normally we just get books from the library. She was excited to read this book. It got done in like 2 days. She's my kid with a flashlight in her bed. I literally had to get this book out of her bed to do this video. And then her and I do have time where we just discuss the books. I am all about, Sarah Mackenzie's method of asking great questions about books. So we asked I just asked great questions. Tell me which character was most like your best friend. Tell me why. What did you like the most about that scene? And we really just delve into the greatness of the book. I don't ask those multiple choice answer questions. We really kind of delve into the plot and the conflict and the resolution. We really talk about all sorts of fun, interesting things while she reads. So she also does Wordly Wise. She's doing level 4, book 4 of Wordly Wise. My son is doing book 5 of Wordly Wise. She does spelling workout. So my other 2 do spelling through All About Reading because my oldest really needs that support with his spelling, and my youngest, I really wanted to start out right. So we did the All About Reading curriculum. My middle daughter did a lot of this type of learning spelling in public school. Actually, it was private school. And she really took to it. She never had any issues with spelling. She always got 100s on all of her spelling tests. So it's just one of those things that she can do independently, so she does. So she does that independently as well. And then she has her handwriting too. So she is doing this as well. All of my kids have a handwriting book, and they just do it independently. If they need help, or if they're not sure how to form a letter, they can't figure it out by looking at it, then of course I'll help them. But other than that, they do it pretty independently. And then she does her first language lessons as well. So let's talk about my 7-year-old. My 7-year-old is currently in level 3 of All About Reading. She actually just finished level 2, and she's starting All About Reading level 3 on Monday. So I'm super excited that she'll get to move up in this curriculum and move along. She is doing handwriting. So she's in 2nd grade handwriting right now. She just finished up her 1st grade book. And so now we'll be starting on 2nd grade printing. She does All About Spelling as well. She's currently in level 2 of All About Spelling, and she is flying through. Most of the time she will get a spelling list. So like this is her spelling list for this week. This is her more words, and then they dictate phrases and then dictate sentences. I always delineate which ones we do based upon, I put a little mark next to it because I won't remember if I don't. So we had an easy day the other day, and she just went through a few. But usually she's been doing a lesson of All About Spelling about once every 2 days, and she's just flying through it. So that is her spelling. And then she does first language lessons. So she does first language lessons as well. She is on level 1, and I must admit level 1 is very slow. You'll see in lesson 44 it starts to talk about nouns as ideas. I cannot say that this curriculum is not thorough. She fully knows what a noun is. The downside is that most of her 1st grade counterparts know what all the parts of speech are at this point. So it's not to say that it's not thorough, but I do think that if she were to go to public school, she would be a little bit behind in the grammar section at school for a little while. So you'll notice on lesson 44, it says again, the instructor says, repeat after me, a noun is the name of a person, place, thing, or idea. I will skip over that with her, or I will have her just say, what is a noun? And she can recite it like that. How many 1st graders do you know that can recite it like that? I don't know any. So it's very thorough. Very, very thorough. So we do that. This takes 5 minutes. And we do it several times a week. It takes 5 minutes to get through a lesson for her. And also, I do supplement her curriculum because I need her to be able to do something with her time. My kids love electronics, and they will want to be on electronics every moment that they can. So when they're done with their school day, they want to be able to get on those electronics and play their video game. But we don't allow that. So I've got to find something to fill her time. So what I've done is I've picked up a couple of these books, the Complete Curriculum of Basic Skill books. So I have the 1st grade book and I have the 2nd grade book, and I really just pick some pages for her to do from these as I see fit. So when I know that it's going to be one of those days where she doesn't have a lot of work to do, or there's not a lot of bulk in her curriculum, I will grab a couple of these pages and I'll put them in her folder for the day, and she'll work on those. So that's been a really great help with just, beefing up her phonics, or she'll read a passage and kind of tell me about it, that sort of thing. So that is her independent work. Now, you're probably thinking, there are 2 things that are missing. Number 1, math. What do we do for math? We use CTC math for math. I think it's okay. I cannot say that it's great. I can't say that I love it. I think it's okay. My 11-year-old, who does have difficulty hearing sometimes, he has a lot of problems with the Australian accent that's used in the videos. So sometimes he'll have to ask me, or sometimes he just didn't understand what the narrator was saying in the video, and I'll have to come to the whiteboard with him and we'll work through the problems together. So I find often that my 11-year-old in particular can't understand the directions. Like, he doesn't get it from the directions, and I'll have to supplement that for him. So I will have to see what he's working on, and we'll go to the board and work on those problems together because he needs a lot of support in that area. Now my 10-year-old, she gets it. So she can listen to the video and then do the math, and she's done. My 7-year-old, it really just depends on the topic. Sometimes she gets it independently, sometimes she needs some help. But isn't that all kids in math? So we use CTC Math for our math curriculum. It's very economical when you have many children that are needing different levels of math work. So let's talk about writing. So for writing with my older children, we were using Writing with Ease. They were finishing up level 3 and beginning on level 4, and this curriculum was just not working for us. My kids hated it. I hated it. It was horrible. They literally would kick and scream when it came to writing, which is the exact opposite effect of what I want them to be thinking about when they're writing. So the way that Writing with Ease works is that there is a passage that the student reads. So they'll read a passage and we would just read it aloud together. So they would read a passage. Let me turn the page. Oh, of course I can't. And then there was a narration/dictation exercise. So they would narrate back the summary of the story to me, and then I would give them a portion of what they said to me to dictate to them. Then the next day, this is a 4-day-a-week curriculum, the next day was a full dictation exercise. So they would dictate a portion of a text. What they were required to do is to listen to the entire text, and then they write it completely from memory. Now, Susan Wise-Bauer, who's the author of Writing with Ease, recommended that the student hear it 3 times and then be able to write. So this is the dictation exercise for that story that they just read. It says, in spare moments, while soup simmered on the stove, or between hanging out the wash and starting dinner, she would pick up her pencil and step back into the world of her childhood. Y'all, it took about an hour for them to memorize that well enough for them to be able to write it. And it just wasn't working. They hated it. I hated it. We would go over and over and over and over it, and they just did not do well. It was horrible. There were many classes where I literally thought the book was going out the window. So I chose to ditch the book. So what have we done instead? So far what we've done is we've taken the activities from Mystery of History and from Science, and we've written about them. So I have moved my kids up, my 2 bigger kids up to the middle ages. In history, it's broken up by, the activities are broken up by, can you see that? By younger student, middle student, and older student, and then middle student and older student. Usually there's a young, middle, and older. So I've started my 2 older kids on the middle student. So what they do is they have written about the things that they're learning in history. So for example, we just learned about Nero this week, and so the activity was, the Colosseum of Rome is one of the most spectacular Roman ruins still standing today. Research this magnificent structure. Find out about the Colosseum's size, the meaning of its name, and how it was used. Write 3 to 5 paragraphs on your findings, okay? So what they did is they wrote, I didn't have them write 3 to 5 paragraphs because they're still young. I had them write 1 paragraph about the Colosseum, what they learned in their research. They did work together to do the research, and then they each wrote their own individual paper. So that's how we have been doing writing since we threw Writing with Ease out of the window. But I do currently have IEW on order, and I am super excited to get that in and get that started. I'm not sure how much my kids are gonna love that. We'll see. So that is our daily curriculum that we use. We usually homeschool from about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning until about 2:30 in the afternoon. And at lunchtime, I do give them an hour to play and de-stress. So it's really about 3 or 4 hours that we are working hard and getting homeschool done. And then we're done for the day. All right, well, I appreciate you watching this video and hanging out and checking out our curriculum. And I hope that you click the like button and hit subscribe and notifications for when we put out new videos. I've been trying to do once a week every Saturday. If you've made it this far, thanks again. We'll see you soon. Happy homeschooling.